Good evening, everyone. It's Liam Neild here with your MU review for Manchester United's 5-1, yes, 5-1 victory over Midtjylland in the UEFA Europa League. Now, I'm not getting carried away. I know it's Midtjylland. I know they're shit. I watched the game over two legs. If anything, beating them 5-1 this week just makes me even more embarrassed for the fact that we actually got beaten by that lot last week. But the fact of the matter is we put in a good performance. It started off a bit shaky. We were a bit unlucky here and there, but we got the job done. Had a great performance, and I'm very happy with it, and that's not something I've been able to say on these reviews since I started doing them at the start of this season. The game itself, very different in the sense that Midtjylland definitely came into the game looking to park the bus. I saw one of their players had a bit of a tongue-in-cheek tweet yesterday when their team coach arrived saying that the bus was already parked. Haha. And in fact, they pretty much did do that, and it kind of flew in the face of it when they ended up taking the lead. Sisto scored a really good goal. I mean, give credit to him. I'll be amazed if he's not at a better club than Midtjylland next season, with the fact that he scored two decent goals against Man United in 2 weeks here. But we responded really well. I mean, we started the game very positively, as we should. We dominated possession the entire match, created a lot of chances. That's something that's really been a key flaw in our games, that we've been... This season we've been possessing the ball but not had any real creativity. Today we had plenty of creativity, great performances from some of the young players, some really great performances from some of the young players, and ultimately we ended up running out comfortable winners. I mean, in the first half it was very much a case of having a bit of spark but not a lot of cutting edge. We had a bit of creativity but we had no finishing ability. We missed the penalty. Juan Mata, is now been kicked to the back of the line for the penalty takers in the club after a really poor penalty, which at the time I thought was going to be very costly with the game at 1-1. Obviously, the goal that we did score came off some great play from Memphis down the left-hand side. Memphis Depay was absolutely fantastic today. He's been much better in European games in general this season. I think that's 3 goals for him in European games compared to, I think, 3 or 4 in the English Premier League. And considering how many European games he's played versus how many Premier League games he's played, that's a really pretty telling statistic. But he looked very comfortable today, and obviously playing against a much weaker side, he got a bit of confidence, and really he had their fullback on toast all day long. Their fullback actually ended up getting sent off. That's how much he was doing him in the entire game. Obviously, with the Midtjylland goal going in, we responded well by scoring, and then obviously missing the penalty going into the second half. It was very much on the line. We had to go out there and deliver and not fizzle out in the way that we have done at Old Trafford so many times this season. And I thought that we did a really good job, and that was more or less down to the youngsters more than the experienced players. And that's a weird thing because, when they talk about the class of '92, which facing no one can shut up about the class of '92 at this point, and they talk about why that was successful, how Ferguson managed to blood, 5 or 6, very young players into an experienced, already championship winning side and got them to do even better than before, and the way he did that was sort of by letting them make mistakes. He put them in a team that was built around characters like, back in the day it was Steve Bruce and Gary Pallister. As they moved on, we had Roy Keane, Eric Cantona before he retired, and he brought in players who really made them shine and allowed the youth players to develop at their own pace, which obviously was a startling pace and ended up with huge success for the club. But in this occasion, it was sort of flipped. I thought the young players were our best players on the pitch. You look at Joe Riley, who had a fantastic full debut. I think it's his full debut. He might have started on Monday. No, Borthwick. Yeah, his full debut today after coming off the bench on Monday. And he was fantastic. I think he's right-footed, but, I can't really tell, and that's a sign of a good fullback. Joe Riley was fantastic. Guillermo Varela, once again, showing why David Moyes signed him, I guess, or what, kind of raising questions as to why it took until this season for him to get a debut. He was fantastic again today. Players obviously like Memphis Depay, with Anthony Martial going off in the warm-up. The onus was hugely on Memphis Depay to deliver as a creative force, and my God did he deliver. He was absolutely incredible today. And then obviously the man himself, Marcus Rashford, who looked like he was going to start on the bench, maybe come on later in the game if we needed him, but he ends up coming on, making his full team debut when Martial goes off injured in the warm-up, and he bags a brace. He bags the 2 goals that end up putting us through. It was 1-1 before Marcus Rashford, it was 3-1 after Marcus Rashford. That is impact. And that is just incredible to come from an 18-year-old, and, say what you want about Louis van Gaal, but he's given more first-team debuts to young players than probably Ferguson did. Ferguson was there 25 years. I mean, it might be a bit of an exaggeration, but I would be hard-pressed to think of a single season where more first-team debuts were handed out like candy to these under-18s even, like not even under-21, some of them are under-18s. So, but the problem, the reason that we didn't, blow them away from the first whistle is because the mistakes were coming from our veteran players. Michael Carrick made the mistake for Sisto's goal. Juan Mata missed the penalty. These are the players that were supposed to be carrying the youngsters, and in the end they were the ones who were getting carried. I mean, obviously Carrick and Blind, if Blind's not a centre-back, Michael Carrick definitely isn't a fucking centre-back. But, and they proved that today. But, after that goal went in, they weren't troubled again. And you just sort of thought it was almost like we were playing, we didn't even have a back line. We were just playing two defensive midfielders, two wing backs, and then, a front six almost was how staggeringly much better we were than them, going forward. And, ultimately it's these kinds of performances when you're 1-0 down and you win 5-1, that's a Ferguson performance. You don't want to keep harkening back to Alex Ferguson, because those are the kind of comparisons that get managers like David Moyes out of a job, that get managers like Louis van Gaal under pressure every week. Damned if they do, damned if they don't. I undoubtedly would say that the people who say when we lose that it's Louis van Gaal's fault for not letting the players express themselves will be saying today that the reason we won is because the players ignored Van Gaal. Like, there really is no winning for the guy at the moment. And, my feelings on this are well documented. I am somewhere in between the camps of people who think Van Gaal should be given time and think Van Gaal should have been out the door 3 months ago. I definitely am not as anti-Van Gaal as a lot of Man United fans have been, to the point at which, and even a lot of non-Man United fans, where they're blaming literally every single problem from our lack of pace and cutting edge and goals to the fucking rain on Sunday morning, on Louis van Gaal. Whereas, there are also other people out there who are saying that Van Gaal should be given his full contract, and I don't necessarily agree with that. But, today was a performance where, you could see Van Gaal's influence. You could see that he put the youngsters in the team. He put his faith in those youngsters. He went out there and he instilled confidence in his players, and he let them play, and he gave them a philosophy that allowed them to dominate a game and create chances. And that is what he wants. And ultimately, when things go bad, yes, he takes part of the blame, but he shouldn't take all of it. The players take some of it. And today, when it went well, the players take a lot of the credit. Rashford, Depay, Riley, I've said it all, But Van Gaal needs to take some of the credit as well. We showed courage. We got the job done. We're in the hat for the last 16. On a side note, Spurs and Liverpool both got through, and, I'm very happy that both of those things happened. Now, you might be thinking, hang on a minute, you're a United fan. Why are you happy that Liverpool have gotten through? Mainly because, last season specifically, when English teams were all out of European competition before the last 16 or before the quarterfinals of either the Europa League or the Champions League, and we had teams from Italy going all the way to the semi-finals and finals in those competitions, our UEFA coefficient gap between us and the Italians was getting dangerously narrow, and another season like that could, another 2 or 3 seasons like that could result in Italy taking a 4th place spot from us, essentially meaning that it would be even harder for English teams to get in the Champions League. So there is very much a common interest in English teams doing well in the Europa League and in the Champions League. Now, don't get me wrong, I do not want Man City winning the Champions League, do not want Liverpool winning the Europa League. Obviously, I want United winning the Europa League. But at this point, having City being what looks like the only English team that's going to make the quarterfinals, unless Chelsea or Arsenal pull off something incredible and knock out the massive teams that they've come up against, and Liverpool, United, and Spurs all being in the last 16 and maybe further on in the Europa League, it's only good, especially since Spurs knocked out Fiorentina and Napoli got knocked out by Villarreal. That is very much a win chalked up in the English column for this season. So now they can, Liverpool can fuck off now. They've done their job. Now they can get out of the competition. And hopefully we'll have the pleasure of doing that. We'll find out in the draw tomorrow. But anyway, I've rambled on a bit here. Obviously, I'm very, much more upbeat than I usually am with United having scored 5 goals for the first time since Ferguson, probably. Since David Moyes, when we beat Leverkusen 5-0 in that rare, sunny day under that man's era. Memphis Depay was my man of the match. I was going to give it to Marcus Rashford until Memphis Depay scored that stunning goal at the end. And to be honest, the only reason I would have given it to Rashford over Memphis is because he scored the 2 goals that at the time looked like they were going to seal it. But when you win 5-1, when you only need to win 3-1, and Memphis plays as well as he did and scores a goal like that, you got to give it to the man. Well done to Memphis. We need to see more of that moving forward. Bring on the Gunners on Sunday. I hope that their confidence has taken a hit from their defeat against Barcelona, leaving them ripe and ready for us to pick them off. Hopefully our confidence has been boosted by having won 2 games on the bounce, albeit against lower opposition. If you've got anything to say, get your thoughts into the comments. I will love to banter with you over there. And like and share the video if you want anyone else to see it. So, yep, thank you for watching, and I'll see you on Sunday.